Okay, so good morning, everyone. So let's now start discussing the chapter three, which is the research methodology. So the title of our chapter three is research methodology. So the methodology section describes your basic research plan. So basically, um, the content of the research methodology or your chapter three is your whole plan. How will you conduct the study? Who is your respondents, and etc. So research methodology consists of the following parts: your research design, the respondents, subjects of the study, data gathering instruments, data gathering procedure, and statistical treatment of data. So this is the reason why pwede kayong mamili whether you submit the chapter 1 hanggang chapter 3 or hanggang chapter 4 and 5. The risk lang is baka hindi ko ma-approve yung chapter 3 and then nakapag-conduct na kayo, nakapag-proceed na kayo sa 4 and 5. So, uulitin niyo ulit yun. So, I suggest na please submit first to chapter 1, 2, and 3. And then after the approval, and then kapag konting may revisions lang and then I already approve your chapter 3, then you may now proceed to chapter 4 and 5. So, let's now first discuss the research design. Excuse me. So in this section, the researcher must state the type of research, its meaning, and how it is applicable to study. So if a certain research design is used, whether descriptive, correlational, experimental, or any other type, the particular type of research must be indicated. Ito yung mga types of research design. So, pakakapyawan lang natin siya, no? So, I will just give you a gist or the overview of each type. We have here the descriptive research. So when little is known about the research problem, then it is appropriate to use descriptive research design. It is a design that is exploratory in nature. The purpose of descriptive research is basically to answer questions such as who, what, where, when, and how much. So this design is best used when the main objective of the study is just to observe and report a certain phenomenon as it is happening. So, from its own term or own word, descriptive research, you will just describe the way of the gathering of data. You will just, for example, you just give um, you choose an instrument where you give a survey questionnaire, and from that survey questionnaire you will just interpret, you will just describe, you will just narrate. So that is the descriptive research design. So kailan mo siya gagamitin? You will use descriptive research if your research or if your problem or your topic is in a qualitative nature, meaning hindi kailangan siyang gamitin ng statistical treatment. Sinasabi dito na it is answerable by the questions who, what, where, when, and how much. So if ganun yung research ninyo, then you can use descriptive research. Okay, so hindi siya masyadong tedious, hindi siya masyadong complex. You can use descriptive research. So again, if your problem is answerable by the questions who, what, where, when, and how much, you can use descriptive. Hindi siya na-explain siya in nature by observation or by using several research instruments. Okay, you can use descriptive research. Again, you can use descriptive if your research is qualitative, meaning you can conduct or you can come up with your results without using any statistical treatment. That is the qualitative, and you can use descriptive research. Next, correlational research. So the main goal of this design is to determine if variables increase or decrease as another variable increases or decreases. So this design seeks to establish an association between variables. It does not seek cause and effect relationship like descriptive research. It measures variables as it occurs. It has two major purposes. A, to clarify the relationship between variables and predict the magnitude of the association. However, the extent of the purpose of correlational research depends on the scope and the limitation of the study. So again, from its own word, correlational, you have a relationship. Yung variables ninyo or yung nire-research ninyo has a relationship. So for example, if you are measuring the effectiveness of um, exposure in reading versus doon sa vocabulary na alam ng student. Therefore, you will use correlational kasi if you if if mag-increase yung time ng reading ng bata, it will increase also or will decrease also the vocabulary knowledge ng bata. So therefore, you will use the correlational research. Always remember if you will use correlational research if you have association or relationship or relationship to each other. Kasi yung descriptive, sinasabi dito na ang descriptive is you're measuring the cause and effect ng relationship. Kumbaga, pag dito sa correlational, yung association, kapag pa ito binawasan, mababawasan din ba or mag-decrease ba or mag-increase. So that is the correlational research. So, ano yung major goal natin using the correlation na sinabi dito is to clarify the relationship between the variables and then predict the magnitude of the association. Gaano ba kalakas yung impact ng isang variable into another. So, that is the correlational. So, again, we use correlational when you are measuring two variables or its relationship. Next is the experimental research. So this research design is based on the scientific method called experiment with the procedure of gathering data under a controlled or manipulated environment. It also known as true experiment design since it applies treatment and manipulation more extensively compared to a quasi-experimental design. The random assignment of subjects or participants into treatment and control group is done increasing the validity of the study. From its own word, experimental research, you will conduct experiment. Okay, so meron kang natural lang na pababayaan mo lang siya, ito lang observe mo lang siya. And then meron kang isang location or meron kang isang respondents or anything na pagkakantakan na imamanipulate para malaman mo if may nagbago ba. So for example, you are measuring um, the number of sleep ng bata versus doon sa performance level ng bata. So, ang gagawin mo is meron kang experiment 1 is babaguhin mo yung time, bibigyan mo siya ng ganito ganyan. And then sa experiment 2, matagal siyang process kasi meron siyang treatment pa. Maliban pa dun sa natural niya, meron ka pang treatment or kinokontrol na environment. So that's why very tedious siya, very long process at medyo expensive siya if you will conduct or you will choose the experimental research. Pero on the other hand, the experimental research provides a reliable and a valid research papers. Maganda siyang research. Medyo long nga lang siya. Long term, medyo expensive kasi you will conduct several experiments. So, ito yung pagpipilian natin, no? So, you can Google up pa if there are lots of choices ng research design. Pero for our subject, for our research, you can use these three na lang. Whether you will choose the descriptive, the correlational, and experimental. So make sure na you check your topic, you check your variables if saan ba ako papatak sa descriptive ba, correlational, or experimental. So, ang pagpili nyo ng research design is based on your research problem in chapter 1. So, ano ba yung mga sets of questions ninyo? And then from there, that you will determine if sa descriptive ba, makukuha ko na yung sagot dito, masasagutan ko na ba itong questions nito, or I will use correlational or experimental. Okay, so in conduct or in writing your research design, again, you have to put an introduction. What is the content of research design? State what type of research design, what it says, ano yung research design na yun, ano yung sinasabi ng research design, and then you have to explain why it is applicable or um, perfect for your research. Again, you have to explain it tell the definition, and then aside from that, this is type of the research design, no? You have to identify whether it is a qualitative or quantitative. So let me just give you the example. Ayan. In here, they stated first what type of research. Is it quantitative or qualitative? So again, when we say quantitative, um, gumagamit tayo ng statistical data, statistical treatment. It means merong magko-compute ka. In qualitative, you will just describe. So, ang perfect kasi sa qualitative is the descriptive research design. So, in here, you have to identify first whether quantitative or qualitative and then proceed to what type of research design. Pinili nila dito quantitative correlational research design to gather and then in-identify nila kung ano yung quantitative and then in-identify nila yung correlation. So for the second paragraph, you have to justify bakit quantitative, bakit correlation yung perfect na research design sa um, topic ninyo or sa problem ninyo. Okay, so yun lang yung kailangan ko for the research design. So after the research design, we have also the respondents. So the respondents are from whom the data or information is to be collected or gathered. The respondents of the study may either be a universal total populations or a sample from a population. So merong area na doon na respondents, you have to identify na who will be your respondent. Number one is under the respondents, you have to identify the population and sample. Nakalagay dito, the first is determining the sample size, is identifying the population of the topic of interest. So the population is the totality of the objects, elements, people, and characteristics under consideration. So it is understood that this population possesses common characteristics about which research aims to explore. The representative subset of the population refers to the sample. Okay. So, sinasabi natin ito, you have to identify the population and sample. Bakit kailangan ng population? Kasi para ma-determine natin if tama ba yung kinuha mong sample. For example, is you chose the Grace Mission College in conducting your research, pero particularly lang ng tertiary level. So, kailangan mong kumuha ng data sa Grace Mission College kung ilan yung naka-enroll sa tertiary level under ng BSN major in English, for example. And if na-identify mo na yung population na yun, you will now determine your sample. Ilan pa dapat yung kailangan kong sample para sa ganitong population? Halimbawa, naka-enroll sa Grace Mission College is 100 students. So, ilan yung kukunin mo sample doon? So, ako kasi, ang sinasuggest ko or ang requirement ko for the respondents is at least 50. That is the requirement. So walang below 50. Dapat 50 yung respondents mo or more. Okay? So ayun, para hindi na kayo mahirapan. Pero you have to state pa rin yung population. So an example on how to state the population? Ayan. So, research population. So, laging ito lagi yung sinasabi ko sa inyo, you have to identify or define first what is the population, also known as target population and etc. So, ayun, nagkaroon sila ng the total population of the household beneficiaries located at barangay is 2,915. Ayan. So, kailangan mo rin siyang i-identify kung ano yung mga yung ano yung 2,915 na yun. Ayan. Tapos, nagkaroon na siya ng sampling method which is our next topic. Ayan, the sampling technique. So, this is very important also kasi from the population, how you, ito dito din na-discuss paano pinili yung respondents mo. So, the sampling technique, we have the probability sampling. Sa probability sampling, it is a sampling technique wherein the members of the population are given an almost equal chance to be included as a sample. Okay. Next is under the probability, we have the random sampling. So this is done by using chance method. So in this method, each member of the population has an equal likely chance of being selected. So the members of the samples are chosen independently of each other. So random sampling technique is lahat ng nasa population has an equal chance of being chosen. So ibig sabihin, lahat sila walang pinipili. Lahat sila may chance na mapili um, doon sa pagiging respondents. Next is the stratified sampling. So this is used when the population can be divided into several smaller non-overlapping groups. Then the sample is randomly selected from each group. From its word stratified, strata, you will make a strata. So for example, your respondents is tertiary level nga. So merong first year, second year, third year, fourth year. For the fourth year, you make a strata. Halimbawa, sa isang strata, merong 10. So, dun sa strata na yon pipili ka. So, ibig sabihin, doon kung ang napili mo is strata 1, lahat ng nasa strata 1 is kasama niya sa respondents mo. Just like, unlike doon sa random sampling, lahat equal chance of being selected. So, hindi siya dahil nakastrata, kundi dahil individual mo silang um, pinili bilang respondents. Next is the systematic sampling. So this is done by numbering each subject of the population and then selecting every number. So ibig sabihin, um, nagkaroon ka ng numbering or nagkaroon ka ng numbering. So siguro pinagdesisyonan mo, okay, we will choose respondents na every 10th noong pila or nung number na yon. So, lahat na nakakuha ng 10 o lahat na nasa pila ng 10, yun yung magiging respondents mo. Yun yung systematic sampling. Next is cluster sampling, so also called area sampling, in which groups or clusters instead of individuals are selected randomly as samples. Sa cluster, just like cube, medyo malaki na to kasi kina-cluster mo na sila, ginugrupo mo na sila. So, yun yung cluster sampling. So, for example, sa grades natin, siguro gawin natin cluster per area. So, yung area na yun yung mapipili mo. So, katulad pa rin noon kung anong area yung napili mo, yun yung magiging respondents mo kahit hindi mo kilala kung sinong individual yung nandun. Basta kung sino yung napili na cluster, yun yung magiging respondents mo. Okay? Meron pa tayo dito na non-probability sampling. Ito yung madalas na ginagamit ng mga students ko from the previous years. Merong sa non-probability sampling, hindi ko lang nasama dito, meron dong convenience sampling. Convenience ba? Sampling. Kasi ang lagi nilang nire-reason is, "Ma'am, we don't have so much time. Ma'am, um, sila lang po yung available." So, yun yung ginagamit nila, convenience sampling. Kung sino yung available na student na pasok sa criteria nila, yun yung naging respondents nila. So, baka lang you have time to research for non-probability sampling, nandun din yun, convenience sampling. Ang risk lang nun is, since convenience sampling lang, kung sino lang yung available, nagkakaroon ng konting hindi valid or reliable yung data ninyo. So, nagkakaroon ng problem pagdating sa defense. So, it's better to use the probability sampling. Pero if you have time to research, try to take note of this, non-probability sampling, convenience sampling. So, marami pang types ng non-probability sampling. Okay, so how will you write your sampling technique? So, ganito yung magiging itsura niya, no? Ayan, sampling method and sample. Ay, ito pala, purposive. Meron ding purposive or convenient sampling. Ito is non-probability siya. Ayan, try to research na lang, okay? Pero I suggest, kaya lang ang na-discuss ko is probability kasi siya yung mas mataas yung um, reliability and validity ng result. Pero you can use the non-probability also. Okay, sa sampling technique, ayan, ginamit nila yung purposive sampling known as judgmental sampling and non-probability sampling kasi yung purposive kasi meron silang target area kasi and characteristics, kaya naging purposive. Hindi mo kasi siya pwedeng gamitan ng cluster or ng random sampling kasi may mga criteria sila. Halimbawa, nanganak na ng 10, nanganak na ng 5. So, hindi lahat pwede ng population na taga Palawan gagamitin nila. So, kaya naging purposive sampling sila. Ayan. So, again, you have to identify what type of sampling method, ano yung probability ba siya or non-probability, and then define and then justify. Ayun. Kasi yun yung hinahanap ko kapag nag-check ako. Okay? So again, guys, if you have any questions regarding our discussion or clarifications, you can chat in our official GC or you can comment in the comment section para ma-notify din ako. Ayun. So, let's go naman sa data gathering instruments. So, the instrument to be used must be appropriate to the study, valid, and reliable. So, in the section of the study, the researcher must indicate how the items in the instruments were formulated. So parts or sections of the instrument must be explained to whom and how it was validated, how it was distributed, and how the final form of the instrument was used, distributed to the respondent. So medyo mahirap ang gawin ang data gathering instruments kasi kailangan mag-match yung research problem mo, title mo, at saka kung paano mo siya ika-conduct, paano ka mag-gather ng data. So we have the research instruments. Ano? So in data gathering instrument, we have the research instruments. Our basic tools researchers use to gather data for specific research problems. Common instruments are performance tests, questionnaires, interviews, and observation checklists. The first two instruments are usually used in quantitative research, while the last two instruments are often in qualitative. Okay, so sa research instruments, ano yung gagamitin mo to conduct or to gather your data? So ang common din ang kinagamit is sa quantitative is yung performance test or the questionnaires. And then kapag qualitative naman, we have the interviews and observation checklist. Again, you can use naman the questionnaires in qualitative. Yun nga lang, medyo mahirap mo siyang i-justify. That is why sinasuggest natin na if you will use the questionnaire or the survey questionnaire, you will turn it to quantitative kasi at the end of the day, you will use a statistical treatment. Okay? So kapag napili mo ang questionnaire, survey questionnaire, it is understood na you will use the quantitative. Kasi kailangan mo ng computation dyan. Performance test, kasi ito yung mga test na siguro mga assessment na pwede mong gamitin to measure or to gather your data. Interviews and observation checklist. This is very tedious kasi during the defense, you have to prove talaga na okay, ito nangyari, where and why. Kumbaga parang yung observation mo ba, itong nakasulat ba sa paper mo, is really your observation or your opinion. Yun yung risk talaga na factor when you use interviews and observation. That's why I suggest to use the questionnaires. Okay. Next is ways in developing research instruments. So there are three ways you can consider in developing the research instrument for your study. First, adapting an instrument from the already utilized instruments from previous related studies. If meron kayong makita na questionnaires na related naman sa topic ninyo, you can use as um, if lang meron kayong um, authority or meron kayong approval from the owner. Yun, kaya medyo mas mahirap kapag inadapt. Pero on the other hand, mas madali siya kasi nga i-adapt mo siya. Yun nga lang, kailangan yung i-justify during the defense na okay, may authority ako to use the instrument. Number two is modifying an existing instrument when the available instrument do not yield the exact data that will answer the research problem. Okay. Eto meron kayong nakitang questionnaire na existing questionnaire na you can modify it, you can edit it. Yun ulit, kailangan mo lang din ng authority or kailangan mo lang din ng approval from the owner. And the third way is when the researcher made his own instrument that corresponds to the variable and scope of his current study. So ito yung pinakamadali at pinaka-safe side when you create your own instrument, when you create your own questions. Ito lang, medyo mahirap lang kasi you will create nga, kaya lang, i-checkan ko pa siya and then ipapavalidate nyo pa siya. So, ito lang yung medyo tedious nga lang kasi pero mas nasa safe side siya. Okay, so dito, i-discuss ko lang din ng mas mabilis. The common skills used in research is we have the Likert scale. So this is the common skill used in quantitative research. Respondents were asked to rate or rank statements according to the skill provided. Likert scale that measures the attitude of students towards distance learning. Ito yung example when you decided to use the um, survey questionnaires, ito yung madalas ginagamit, the Likert scale. Kapag sinabi nating Likert scale, ito yung mga may scale na agree, disagree, strongly disagree. Ayan. So, merong items and then meron din dito. So, ayan. Yung validity niya is a research instrument is considered valid if it measures what it's supposed to measure. So, you have to state also the validity and reliability. Pag sinabi nating validity, yung research instrument mo ay mini-measure talaga kung ano yung dapat i-measure. So, ibig sabihin, if you're measuring the number of sleeps versus the effective performance in the school. So, kapag yung instrument mo is kung mini-measure talaga yung effect ng sleep sa performance ng bata, that is valid. Kasi merong questionnaire na hindi talaga yun ang mini-measure. So, kulang siya sa validity. So again, I always remember when it talks about validity, it measures what it's supposed to measure. So baka lumabas to sa exam ninyo. Reliability is the consistency of the measure. So for example, gumawa ka ng survey questionnaire. Again, let's go back to the, ano, if may effect yung sleep sa performance ng bata. Kung ito binigay mo ng 2 months ago at saka binigay mo siya ngayon at parehas yung result niya, that is reliable. Your research instrument is reliable kasi consistent yung sagot niya. Consistent yung mini-measure. So that is the reliability. Okay, next is the data gathering procedures. So in many research studies, the researchers should indicate briefly how the investigation was conducted. So the conduct of the research should start with the approval of the permit to conduct the study, to how the instrument is distributed, who were given the instrument, how many were given, and how the instrument was retrieved. Again, eto, medyo kailangan yung pagtuunan ng pansin. In data gathering procedure, first, you have to seek for approval. Kailangan nakalagay yun. The researchers seek approval to the ganito ganyan. And then, uh, ayun, kailangan yung i-discuss doon how will you distribute the consent form, the instrument, sino yung respondents na yun, ilan yung respondents na yun, and paano mo siya kukunin, paano mo siya i-retrieve, paano mo siya i-keep, paano mo siya i-co-compute, paano mo maco-compute yung result. Yun yung process ng data gathering. Dapat yun yung laman ng data gathering procedure ninyo. So may nakalagay dito, 3 phases of data collection. So the before, prepare the research instrument, identify the authorities, during, clear the instructions, and after, summarize the data. Okay, let's see the example, no? Ayan. Eto muna tayo sa reliability. Eto naman, hindi ako dito masyadong mahigpit sa reliability and validity. You can Google this right away na lang and then just explain and justify kung bakit yun yung kailangan reliability and validity. Nakafocus talaga ako dito pagdating sa data gathering procedure or how you will collect how will you collect the data. Dito sa ginawa nila, survey questionnaire, tapos into 5 main sections, merong ganito, ganyan. And then they will use Likert scale. So sa atin, I want you to focus this, no, na you have to state, eto, you have to start first stating na humingi kayo ng approval or permit doon sa location, ito lang ang kailangan ko, and then follow the three phases in data collection. Okay? Next is the statistical treatment of data if you will use the quantitative. So the kind of statistical treatment depends upon the nature of the problem, especially the specific problems and the nature of the data gathered. So we have the descriptive statistical technique. This provides the summary of the ordered or sequence data from the research sample. Example of these tools are frequently distribution, measure of central tendencies, and standard deviation. Inferential statistics is used when the research study focus on finding prediction, testing hypothesis, and finding interpretation. So again, in descriptive statistical technique, I know you are all familiar with this. We have the central tendencies, that is the mean, median, and mode. We have the standard deviation as well, and the inferential statistics. So just comment or just message me in our GC if you have a clear or a comprehensive discussion regarding the statistical technique that I've mentioned. Katulad nun, yung central tendencies, the standard deviation, and etc. So I can prepare a presentation for you. Okay? Next is the points to consider. Okay? Meron tayong scale, meron tayong sample size, and the distribution of the data. So, ayun, ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo na quantitative data. Ayan. So, the test of relationship between two variables, this is also included sa statistical treatment. So, that's all for the chapter 3, the research methodology. So, again, if you have any questions, just message me or comment.